Now it's time to bring you my prospective guest on the programme. And my guest today is a man who literally lives and breathes art. He is a man who creates the art for many award-winning books. He's created his own art books as well. We're going to talk about one or two of them in a few minutes' time. He's designed theme parks for Walt Disney. He's even worked on artwork for mega-budget Hollywood films like Black Panther. Nikkolas Smith is a New York Times best-selling picture book creator, and he joins us now from Los Angeles. I can see you there with some of your works surrounding you, which is lovely to see. I mean, what a CV. There's so many different things that you're involved in. What are the highlights for you? What have you enjoyed most, if you like?
Oh, the highlights. I mean, I've really enjoyed making picture books that can speak to anyone from 5 years old to 100 years old, everyone in between. I've loved making artivism, art basically that tries to inspire people to make a positive change in the world. Anything from talking about global warming to social justice, wanting the world to be, one world, like to be, a united world, right? So that's kind of what this picture book, The History of We, is about.
Yeah, let's talk about the picture book. In fact, just before we do, we've got a little film that we can show all about the history of We. So let's watch it first of all.
What did the beginning look like? If we travel back to the start, all of our roots begin to tell the same story. This is not a fairy tale. This is the story of your first ancestors, our first ancestors. We had courage, curiosity, grace, and skill. We were artists, dancers, musicians, architects, doctors, astronomers, explorers. This is the origin story of humankind. This is the history of we.
Well, I'm sure you're inspired as a viewer. I certainly feel inspired. How on earth do you do that in a picture book? The story of the origins of humanity in Africa. Tell us about it.
Well, I honestly feel like, the story of all of us going back 200,000 years, I don't feel like it's ever been properly visually documented. So I wanted to show what was life like. Science tells us that 200,000 years ago, basically everybody on Earth actually can be traced back to her, Mawa. I call her Mawa, or Queen Mother, our earliest known ancestors, right? So the first modern humans were, their fossils were discovered in Ethiopia, in Africa, and they're called modern humans because they had the same skeletal structure as us, the same brain capacity. They spoke sentences with nouns and verbs. They laughed and cried like us. They were us, right? So I wanted to show, what did the first swimmers look like? The first astronomers, all of the first, right? The first artists, the first dancers, everything. And I think it's very eye-opening. I think it's kind of a reminder that we're all literally one human race. So I wanted to go back to literally the first Homo sapiens and just try to remind us that, we're kind of like a global family of extended cousins, right?
You're obviously an artist at heart, but by the sound of it, you love your messages as well. And presumably you've written to do with this book as well. That's become part of the process for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of tell a poetic story. I do feel like this is, in a way, kind of like a National Geographic documentary in picture book form, but also I wanted to write a very science-based but poetic story. So you have kind of like a griot narration of, the beginning. This is not a fairy tale. This is the story of us, and it goes to the Blombos Cave in South Africa. The earliest known artifacts are found there. The Ashango bone in the Congo. The Cave of Pigeons in Morocco. We were creating antifungal cream 50,000 years ago. We were creating all of these, really brilliant things. And so I kind of want to take back the narrative and go back to the middle Paleolithic era. It's the Stone Age, right? And so what did that look like? And what did it really look like? How are we inventing things? How are we exploring? We literally were hollowing out trees and figuring out how to sail to Southeast Asia once we left. And once we left Africa about 90,000 years ago, what was that like? How did we populate the earth?
And you've got other books as well, a new one coming out, I think, in September. It's called A Change Is Gonna Come, and it's based on Sam Cooke's iconic anthem, A Change Is Gonna Come as well, isn't it? Tell us about this one.
That is correct. There are so many things that are connected to today in terms of the civil rights era, and Sam Cooke has a beautiful anthem where he's talking about how segregated things had become and how difficult things were, and how he just wanted to see some sort of change, some sort of reconciliation and peace, right, for everyone, right? And so the story is the book is literally the lyrics of the song, and I wanted to kind of tell this story of this young photographer who's literally going through all of these moments in the civil rights era. And unfortunately, we see a lot of parallels today where, unfortunately, I feel like with the current administration that we have here in America, they're starting to roll back a lot of things and go back to the times of segregation in the civil rights era, and making it okay to have a lot of these racial divides and all these different divides. And I really want to just kind of talk about that and especially as it relates to what Sam Cooke was saying and how it's like exactly what we're going through today. And so it's a powerful story.
Yeah, and would you say that's your mantra? I mean, it's very much about marginalised voices, isn't it?
It is. I think there, as a Black man, as a Black artist in America, I see far too many stories about how Black people have been marginalized, victimized, just because of the color of their skin. Way too much police brutality, too many societal, systemic, really, honestly, economic issues where just not having a level playing field, not having really justice, equality, freedom, justice for all, the patriotic things that we, are told and kind of sold. We don't often have those things. And it goes all the way back to, 400 years ago in the beginning of America. And so I'm constantly trying to make art that talks about how can we achieve that true justice for all? How can we, level the playing field for everyone?
And talking about marginalised voices, I mean, you take that even a step further, don't you? Because I know you lead workshops as well on so-called activism. Tell us what that's all about.
That is one of my favorite things to do, is just to go to schools around the world and just talk to kids about, how can you use your creativity to inspire someone to make a positive change. And I have a book called The Artivist, and it's this little kid who uses his art to do that thing. And so sometimes we'll read that book, or we'll read any of my books and then just jump right into making artivism with the kids. The kids have this ability to just come up with an infinite amount of ideas on how can we make this world better? How can we talk about, some sort of justice and change, and really getting the world together, in one accord. And so they jump right in, and with their markers and crayons and whatever drawing tools we have, we'll jump right in and just make a little just artivist poster. How can we talk about, like maybe it's like LGBTQ rights, and maybe it's about gender equality, like social justice, anything, climate change, like make something, like shout out, what is that thing that you wish you could climb to the highest mountain and tell everybody this isn't working right, this is a broken bone in society, I want to fix this, and the kids jump in and make that art. So I've been working with kids recently, in China and India and just all across the United States, and looking to come to any country to talk to kids about how we can use art to make this change.
It does sound very, very inspiring. It sounds like a lot of fun as well. Nikkolas Smith, thanks very much for being with us on the programme. New York Times best-selling picture book creator, as we saw. It's sitting behind him there on the desk, the latest book called The History of We. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying up very late as well. They're joining us live from Los Angeles.